Our next session, which I'm really interested in, is creator collaborations in gaming 2024 and beyond. And for this, we have Axel Danielsson and Björn Karlsson from WeHype.
It's almost lunch, guys. Like, hang in there.
Yeah, 30 minutes more.
30 minutes more.
But we're gonna increase the appetite a little bit, hopefully. So, last year I was here with my CEO, actually, talking about the trends that actually happened last year. Very happy about most of those coming true as well. So I think I have a good track record to follow up on now. But this year, we're going to talk a bit more about rewarded and supported, which is two different ways of collaborating with creators. Last year we talked more about paid, that is more the classic way of actually working with talents and collaborating with them. So I brought Axel, because he's smarter than me about this stuff. So I think you can perhaps introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, so my name's Axel. I'm the director of brand experience. And the last time I was here, everyone was talking about if COVID was going to be a thing or not. So it's very good to be back. But yeah, like WeHype traditionally has done a lot of paid sponsorships, but we're now shifting to kind of cater to the new needs we see in the industry. So that includes something we refer to as rewarded and supported content. And we're going to touch on all of those things today.
Yeah, and as a reference, I think you and I together have worked on perhaps 200 games together, launched them, and about 50 to 70 live service games, that I would say. And most of them, as a reference, WeHype has been around for 6 years. We're market leaders. We're Swedish, most of us, so we're a bit humble. But we work basically with 7 out of 10 of the most revenue-bringing games and publishers in the world. Heavy NDAs, so we won't be able to say too much of those nice topics, but happy to share more benchmarks and stuff after this as well. So why we're here and why we want to talk about this, I created just a really to-the-point slide to showcase that these are the most streamed game on the platform Twitch, which is a live streaming platform. It's heavily correlated that you can see that also most of the successful games right now have a lot of content being created around them. And I think a few examples where we've seen lately this year, I think you mentioned Among Us is an old one. Yeah. That was really good for content creation, but you had a few more, I guess.
Yeah, quick show of hands, like who here has heard about Lethal Company? Well, that was surprisingly few. Like the rest of you need to do your homework, but it's a game. It was made by one guy. It launched, came out of nowhere. He had been making games for around 10 years, so very perfected his craft, but still, solo developer. I think it was the 7th most revenue-bringing game on Steam last year. And he launched in the end of October, so that tells you something. But the point we're trying to make here is that the shift that has happened over the past few years is that you guys as game makers need to not just think about like, okay, is my game fun to make? But to have a good chance at winning, you have to think about, okay, is my game fun to play, but is it also fun to create content for? So there's an added element of like, is this fun to watch and to create for?
Yeah, and I think one recent example, I think most of you, I don't think they need a hands for this one, but Palworld recently launched, more than 1 million concurrent players on Steam. It's so fun to make content around. And you can see that the amount of paid content they have is very limited, but it actually made it easy for creators to be involved and take part of that game. So that's also a good example of that, I think. And yeah, so this is what we mainly gonna talk about today in different ways to understand where we can implement different creative collaborations. So this is where you're the expert, so I'm gonna look at you now.
Yeah, so essentially what you have here is just a very simplified way of looking at a game's life cycle. So we're gonna be talking about what different things to do in these different stages of a game life cycle. So we can actually jump to the next slide, because you've been seeing this a lot more. Do you want to start with paid?
Yeah. So paid is, I think, what most of you have seen before on everything from Twitch, when someone does a stream where they play the game for 1-2 hours or more, or when they create an integrated YouTube ad or a dedicated video when they play the game or make a creative angle of it. If you would go to our website and look for Supercell and Clash for Nature, you would have a really good example of that you can find. And yeah, I can talk about that for hours, but that's not what I'm here, so I'm going to contain myself. So please, rewarded and supported, Axel, what is that?
Thank you. So the way we look at it is that essentially the further down you move here, so you have paid, rewarded, and supported. The further down you move, the less monetary exchange you have between you and a creator. So paid, obviously, you kind of control the narrative, you're actually sponsoring content. But then there's what we call rewarded content, which means that there's some monetary incitament for the creator, but you as a brand have less control of the narrative, but there's still money flowing between you and a creator. And then we have supported, which we tie into everything related to in-game items and skins and keys and so on. So yeah, okay, so this is a picture from a game, but Björn is way better than me at the game, so I'm just gonna let you tell us what this is.
Yeah, I love this game because I can play with my mom and my fiance. It's nice. So it's called GeoGuessr. So they use basically Google Maps to put you somewhere around the world, and then you assume where you should guess where you are, basically, just on the information you get from the street view. I'm decent, you're really bad, but there was recently like a World Cup in Sweden, and yeah, it's been just blowing up. I don't know, how many players do they have?
I think it's 60 or 70 million, but it's one of the latest Swedish proud games that have come up. But if you look here in the corner, so what they've done is that they've implemented support a creator, which means that they can go to creators and say, hey, we think you're a great fit for our game, or we like your stuff. Maybe they are already creating content for it. And then they can start to share revenue with that creator. So they can say, hey, here's a creator code. You can share that with your audience. And if your audience use it, then you will get X% of whatever revenue they generate. I was going to do one fråga om LTV.
Oh,
yeah.
Should I?
Yeah, you should.
All right.
Go back to the previous.
I'm sorry, my friend. So, I mean, one question would also be, not just the LTV actually, but be if you have any examples of different publishers who have done this successfully historically?
Yeah, so Fortnite put this on the map, but a lot of the big games like Fortnite, Call of Duty are doing it in different ways. We are now seeing more and more companies like us spring up that allow smaller companies to do this as well. So it used to be something that was quite reserved for the really big ones, but now more and more tools are appearing to let anyone do this. But an important thing that I wanted to mention is that people go, okay, but maybe I'm already scraping by. Why would I share revenue? But all the data actually shows that customers who come in via something like this have both higher engagement and higher LTV. So your bottom line in the end actually is better than having some random person come in from some other channel. So that's a very important thing to mention.
I mean, that's similar levels that we see from paid marketing actually, when they do that kind of dedicated content. So that's really impressive. And I think one thing to mention here as well is that, I mean, now we talk about the size of the publishers, but in regards to what kind of size of talents would you say that actually are open to this kind of collaboration?
That's a good question. So in theory, this would work with anyone, but what we've seen is that larger creators are less prone to accepting stuff like this, because I mean they're swimming in brand deals and whatever. So this is something that's more usable to, I would say, micro to mid-tier creators than anything else.
Was that fire alarm first? It's okay? All right. Is someone hyping us up? All right, I get it. That's great. So LTV.
Yeah. So something that's very worth mentioning is that here, I mean, this is just us playing around, and what you see here is the viewership of any sort of standard live service game. So you have your peaks and your valleys, you release it, it goes down, you drop a DLC, it goes up, and so on. But when you have these types of always-on activations, like support a creator, you can almost think of it as raising the bottom floor. So you would have the same trends, like your peaks and your valleys, but you're elevating both the top and the bottom of your graph. Because you have a bunch of creators, if you run this successfully, you have a bunch of creators that are naturally incentivized to create more content for your game than they would be otherwise. And if you're really smart, you deploy something like this with an added perk to the audience as well. So if I go to you as a creator and say, hey, we want to give you 15% of the revenue share, but you can tell your audience that if they use your code, then we will give them, 1,000 coins to use in the game. Because then you're giving the creator, they're not coming like, may I have some more soup? Like, they're not begging their audience to support them. They're actually giving their audience something. So they're saying, hey guys, here's something for you. You can support me. I can continue to create, the content that you guys like, but use my code and you will get something. And if you're smart, you put it so that, it will actually increase their spending even more.
So, to not be, to play the devil's advocate a little bit here. So let's say as a publisher I give away, 15% or 10% of revenue. That's a lot of money. Is it really worth it?
Yes, is the short answer. No, but again, obviously we can't share any data from real clients, but all data points towards that this actually works. Like, you might not want to give out 50% of the revenue forever, but the increased engagement and the added content and the fact that the purchaser comes in connected to like a creator that they enjoy actually means that they are more engaged and they seem to spend more in game.
Yeah, so an example of this could be that, through this kind of collaboration, you get also content that otherwise, if it would be paid, would have cost, $50,000 or $100,000 or euros and so on. So it's actually also one way to get a lot of that content more as a more fair value exchange, I would say, where the creators then have a lower threshold, also continue to make content for that game.
So here's where in your life cycle we would say that it makes the most sense to deploy this. And it's essentially, you can have it up and running as soon as you launch your game, and then just keep it on forever, essentially. As long as there's creators who are interested in playing your game, you can have it on. Cool, so then we're gonna get into supported content. So essentially for us, this is everything that's not tied to a monetary exchange between you and the creator. So, I mean, these are just some examples, but like early access keys, skins, items, in-game currency, community rewards. I mean, here we took as an example, some lucky bastard actually got the Master Sword. So that's super nice for them.
Yeah. And I think I would like to continue also, because this is a good way to visualize where you can use it the best. And I think here I would love you to share a bit more how you can use this actually in the testing and pre-registration phase or like soft launch phases.
Yeah, so for us, supported content, like in the best world, you would start already in the testing phase. Again, we talked about it early in the talk, like getting the confirmation from creators that it's not just fun to play, it's fun to create content for. But you can also think of supported as a great tool to either engage more with creators. So say, for example, I sponsored a creator, they made a content piece, it was good, everyone seemed to like it. I can then immediately after go, hey, love the stuff that you did, here's 10 blah blah to give out to your audience. So if you do another stream, you can do a raffle and give it out to them. So it's a super powerful tool to quite rapidly and easily, let's say, get more squeeze out of a content piece or like a collaboration. And it really also increases brand affinity. So if you don't mention it from the start, and so if you're a creator and you do something, and then the brand says, hey, that was awesome, here's some stuff to give out to your audience. It's a really good tool. It's also a good tool to probe interest. So to send out, like to reach out to creators and say, hey, would you like to try our game out in the testing phase? If all of them say no, and obviously you wouldn't go to like Dr. Disrespect and ask this, like you would have to pick smaller creators in most cases. But if all of them say no, that's already then telling you something. Like you probably have a problem that you should address or like investigate further.
And since I'm on the partnership side, I know you are not, so I will lead you into this one. Where can you actually overview all of this, track this, distribute this?
Well, if you're smart, you're doing it with WeHype.
Ah, okay, thank you. Now I'm happy. Now you can talk whatever you want. So, if I may add one point here, is that for the paid campaigns that I usually oversee, we take a lot of the learnings through the testing phase and the pre-reg phase to actually understand how we should spend the budgets during the launch. So, one challenge that I see today is that nearly 8 out of 10 clients who come to me, they are at the launch stage. Like, we're going to launch a game, we really believe in it. But it would be better if we had started to work 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, or half a year ago, please. Because then we can use this knowledge to spend the money smarter and basically take less bets in it. And that's a massive one. And basically on our team at WeHype, we also have former content creators, so they can also give feedback how it actually is making content around it. We can also do offline testing. So there's a lot of different ways to get that knowledge. And I know a lot of you have potentially for your games different creator communities already that you work with, that have, they love your games, but remember, they love your games already. So you need also the outside perspective from other content creators if you want to reach other inventories, other categories of players. May I go on?
You may.
Yes, because now I want to talk. So one thing I really want to make sure to mention is that in the last 12 months, we have done some massive campaigns, probably the biggest ones in the world ever. And what we've seen where we can correlate a lot of the value is that when we do a campaign, we do a market takeover. That means that we have at least 15% of all the gameplay content that is created. So this could be Germany, France, US is tricky, but we can do that. We also talk about South Korea and other regions. We see an average that the actual cost per install through UA at the same time is reduced significantly, which is incredible for us, because that is actually us seeing, hey, you get value back from working us directly. It's not only the long-term value of those partnerships or that longevity of the content. This heavily reflects each market, but it takes a decent amount to get there. And I think the main learning with this also is that a lot of the publishers works at silos. They have UA team, they have the paid team, they have the creator team. All of you should work together, actually. So really try to work as one team, because that is when you get all of this value together. We're happy to help with it, but if you as an internal team don't see those values or really leverage them, that's going to be tricky. And just to quickly mention, I know we don't have much time left, is basically these are the main phases where we focus on paid. We probably have like 50 different formats. I know you probably want to ask me a few of them, but since we're running out of time, I would love to for you to conclude it a little bit.
Yeah, okay, so to conclude like the first point here, make sure to start to talk to creators early. And again, we talked about paid, rewarded, and supported. And there's no textbook, this is how you do it. It's unique for each game, but keep those three components in the back of your head, like, okay, how are we going to find creators? Which ones are we going to sponsor? Which ones would be interested in working with us with a less, let's say, they're not getting paid as much, but there's higher potential because they're getting revenue share. And how are you going to work with supported content? You should be thinking about all of this early on, and even make sure that you have the infrastructure in your game to easily distribute rewards and items and stuff like that. Because the payoff is really worth it. And yeah, like you said, talk to each other. Like if you're in the community team, talk to the pay team, get in the same room. Because I think traditionally it's been a bit like the creator team is in one corner and UA is in one. And stop doing that. It's stupid. You have to work together.
Yeah, and leverage the data, please. That's the last one, I think. I think we're out of time.
Yeah, you are out of time.
All right.
And we started a bit late, so we're going to have to sort of gather a bit of momentum, I'm afraid. So if you want to speak to the guys, which is the stuff they're saying is amazing, especially that point about bringing those teams together and talking more and going early. I think that's a really big message.
We're at BO3 in the bottom floor. We have the booth in BO3. We're at table there, so please come by if anyone wants to talk a bit more. Thank everybody for listening in.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thanks.